So everybody makes mistakes when reselling. Doesn't really matter how much experience you have, whether you've been doing this for a day or a week or a month or a year or a decade, you're going to make mistakes. You're going to buy stuff that you probably should not have bought in the first place. Sometimes you buy like a shirt and take it home and it's got a hole in it. But I also make bad buys where I buy something thinking it's going to be worth selling and it ends up sitting around for a super long time. Now, obviously, I make fewer of those mistakes than I did when I first started, but they still happen. These mistakes can really pile up. If you're not careful, you'll end up with a huge pile of stuff that's just collecting dust and not generating any money and taking up valuable inventory space. It's sort of like having a house guest that just shows up and overstays their welcome and doesn't contribute any money. And this inventory that's not selling that you've had for a long time is just sitting there on the shelves, staring at you, judging you, reminding you of the mistakes that you've made in the past. But just imagine the opposite. Imagine having a clean inventory space, free of old, dusty inventory that you thought was going to sell but didn't. And the solution there is not to stop making bad buys, because we're just going to keep doing that. That's the nature of the beast here. When we're buying used stuff from garage sales and thrift stores and flea markets, it's going to happen. We're going to buy stuff that is not going to be as valuable. So the solution is instead to have some sort of system in place to weed out that older inventory, to refresh your store, to reset your store, to get everything clean and ready to go. And this is why I do it at least once a year, what I call an annual reset of my eBay store. It's like a full purge of stale inventory to clean out all of that old stuff, to clean up my mind as well, to feel like my inventory is well organized, and it also makes additional sales and brings in more money. So right now you might be ignoring that giant pile of bad buys or even the giant pile of good buys sitting in your death pile. Obviously it can't sell if it's not listed, so if it's not listed, go get that stuff listed. But for the stuff that is listed and that is still just sitting around and taking way longer to sell, maybe it's from back when you were first starting and you really didn't know what you were doing and you were kind of feeling out and trying to figure out what inventory was good to buy, but you don't want to ignore it. You want to deal with it because it's not just taking up physical space, it's taking up mental space and it's sapping your motivation. And that's why I forced myself to confront this issue for myself at least once a year. I consider it a sort of like spring cleaning, and it's not exactly spring yet. In fact, it's still snowing and there's more snow on the way. I don't think he likes the camera, by the way. And so here's what you want to do to reset your eBay store at least once a year. And doing this is going to bring 3 big benefits to your eBay store. So the first thing is that it clears out your physical space. Gets rid of all this stuff in your inventory, but it also clears out your mental space as well. Do you ever go to Goodwill to drop stuff off? Not even like reselling stuff, but just stuff around your house. And it's such a good feeling to pull up to Goodwill and just unload your trunk from so much stuff from around your house that you're not using anymore. It's actually a really cool service that Goodwill provides. I know we like to hate on them because of their prices, but where else can you go to drop off whatever you want, basically? I know they have some restrictions, but you can basically just bring anything to them and they will take it for free. And that's just a really good service, actually. And the feeling that I get when I drive away after dropping off a load of inventory or just stuff from around the house that I no longer use, it's an amazing feeling. Like this weight is lifted off my shoulders. And so that's what this eBay reset also brings you. Not only cleans up the physical space in your inventory, but it also clears up the mental space as well and helps with motivation. And it just makes you feel better by having clean and well-organized inventory. And number 2, it also makes space for new inventory. This is the best time to do it for me anyway, right? January, February, I'm just not doing a whole lot of sourcing. It's kind of hibernating for the winter. And usually in March is when I pick up sourcing again. I start going out to garage sales again. I start going out to estate sales and outdoor flea markets and things like that. It's just too cold and snowy around here right now. But right now is just a good time to clean out your inventory, to make room for all of the great inventory that you're going to be bringing in over the course of the year. So I like to do this eBay reset right around this time of year, right before garage sale season starts. I don't like to go out and start buying a whole bunch of new stuff without getting rid of all the older stuff that's sort of haunting me and taunting me on my shelves. Number 3, it also just uncovers more money. And so when you're going through your inventory, like I'm about to show you how to do, often you're going to find stuff that you sort of forgot that you had. And you're like, why didn't this thing sell? What's going on here? And it gives you an opportunity to check and see what's going on. Like, did you overprice it? Did the market change? Did its demand go down? Did its supply go up? And you can get a better idea of what's going on. And often you can make those types of changes while you're going through the inventory. And so I'm going to walk you through the exact process that I go through at least once a year to reset my eBay store. That's going to basically clear up the space in my inventory, clear up the mental space, create room for new inventory coming in, and then finally increase sales, like bring in more money than I otherwise would have if I didn't do this eBay reset. And so the process that I go through to do this eBay reset, it really depends on how big your inventory is. If you have a relatively small inventory, you can get this done in a day. For me, it takes many days to go through this. I just break it up into chunks because I can't sit there and do it all day. I can do about an hour's worth of this work at a time. And so I break it up over many days. And what I do is I start with a particular section of my inventory. I pick a box off the shelf, I take it over to my desk, and I pull up Flipwise, which is what I use to manage and organize all of my inventory. And I open up that box on Flipwise to see what's in that box. And I compare the two. I make sure that everything that's listed and that's in this box is actually in the box itself. So that's the first step that I do, is just, basic inventory. Just make sure I have what I think I have. And then I start to go through each item in the box. Some of it's obviously stuff I'm going to keep because it's relatively new, but there's definitely stuff in there that I'm like, oh, I've had this for a while. What's going on? Why hasn't this sold? And I start to do some research on it. I'll check comps. I'll see how many are active. I'll see how many are sold. I'll see what the average active price is, what the average sold price is. I get an idea of whether or not I think this thing is going to sell, and I'll compare that with my listing. Often I'm like, oh, well, this is overpriced. The market has shifted since I first listed this. It's worth a lot less than it was before. So do I want to try to recoup some of this money, or should I just donate it? That's the process that I go through for each item in my inventory. And everything that I decide is not worth keeping live on my store, I go ahead and end the listing on eBay. I mark the item as donated in Flipwise, and then I put it in a box and I send that to Goodwill or Savers or wherever the next time that I go. And then everything that I decide I'm going to keep in my store, I do research on that as well. I check active comps, sold comps. I make sure I'm priced right. I make sure that there's no missing details in the listings. I make sure that my pictures look okay. And then I end all of those listings. All of the listings that I'm going to keep, I end them and then I relist them using the bulk editor tool on eBay. And I'll adjust the prices down if I need to, or I'll adjust, the titles if I need to. I basically just freshen it up and I end all those listings and relist them as a part of that process. So now's the time to do it. Give your eBay store a reset. Go through everything, purge all the stuff that you probably shouldn't have bought in the first place, check your prices on stuff that you're going to keep, end and relist, and just do a general refresh of your store. This is not just about cleaning, by the way. It's good to organize everything, but it's really about resetting your business and getting ready for the next stage. So try it out. I think you're going to find that it's pretty useful. We're going to do some store reviews. And so a couple of weeks back, I put a call out to my viewers asking if you wanted me to review your eBay store. And I got frankly a ton of responses, an overwhelming amount of responses there. And so I'm slowly making my way through this list of eBay stores that y'all want me to review. I'm going to do a handful here on today's episode. I also do separate videos on this. I've done one already, so check the description below if you want to see that other video that's nothing but me reviewing eBay stores. And I'll continue to do those eBay store review videos only, but let's jump in and do one right now. So Christy says, I'm a new eBay seller since October 2024. Am I on the right track with photos, listing format, and items? I don't want to have bad habits that hinder my success. Thank you. Sure, Christy, let's take a look at your store here. This looks nice. Hesterfield Mercantile. Is that Mercantile? Mercantile? I think it's Mercantile. Great little header image. Looks professional. Looks really well done. Good to go. Like, I personally don't bother with doing a design storefront like this, but you certainly can. It makes it look more professional. So it looks great. Let's take a look at your items here. Just quickly scanning at photos. It looks like you're doing a pretty good job on photos. Everything looks clean and professional. You got, a nice white background. I like the way that you're, displaying your shoes. I mean, you can tell that you are taking some care and attention. So many people just like toss some shoes on a bed and take some photos. It really goes a long way by really staging your photos and even just putting one up a little higher than the others. Like if you just go Google search random shoe manufacturers, you're going to see photos of their shoes, like mimic what they're doing. They often do stuff like this. It just makes them look more attractive. So good job on the photos. I don't see any real issues at all there. But let's take a look. You have a total of 516 items listed. Let's see how many you've sold. 57 sold. So that's a relatively low sell-through rate. Now, when I talk about sell-through rates on here, especially at the store level, when I say it's a low sell-through rate, like, I don't want you to think that you're doing a bad job necessarily, because sell-through rate is very subjective. You could have this sell-through rate right here and be hitting your income goals. And it doesn't really matter whether you think or I think it's a good sell-through rate or not. So sell-through rate's very subjective. Generally speaking, you want to be selling as many things in relation to how many you have listed. And so the lower amount that you have sold compared to what's listed, generally the poorer the sell-through rate. But again, if you're hitting your income goals, the sell-through rate doesn't really matter. So don't take that as like super harsh criticism. But let's take a look. Let's see what you're selling and figure out maybe why you're not selling as much as you think you probably should be. Let's take a look at this baby doll really quick. Vintage 1954 Sun Rubber baby doll. Let's see this. Not familiar with this, but we'll take a look at it. So it looks like there's 6 active from 1954. And looks like 1 sold for right around $24.99 plus almost $20 in shipping. Maybe that's where you got your price there. You've got $23 in shipping. Seems very high for shipping. You're in Georgia. I'm in Missouri, pretty close to you. And I would expect it actually would cost about half of that to ship this. I don't know exactly how big it is, but it's not going to cost $23.10 to ship. So check your weights and measures on that. Make sure that they're accurate. Otherwise, you're going to turn off buyers by it being overpriced because of the shipping cost. Even if they're willing to pay the total amount, like for me, 26 plus 23, that's $50 basically. Even if I'm willing to pay $50 for this, I would scoff at $23 in shipping and be like, what? Why are you charging so much for shipping? If it was $50 free shipping, which you would get the same amount of money for, I might be more willing to buy it. So consider the aesthetics of your shipping cost as well. Let's see what else you got. Wrangler cargo hiking shorts, pink, very saturated. So I think, the Wrangler, pink, Democracy, Dockers, these are Old Navy. These are just very, very low sell-through rate items, very saturated clothing categories. It'll take a very long time to sell. They probably will sell, but they will take a long time to sell. Patagonia has a good sell-through rate. Probably could use a little bit of better picture there. I like lay flat for clothing and shirts better than hanging. I just think you get a better idea of how it looks, and it often can just look kind of worn and gross when it's hanging on a hanger like that. Personal preference. Yeah, Chrissy, so I think what's going on here, let's see what your question was in the first place. You're saying, I'm a new eBay seller since October 24. I'm on the right track with photos, listing format, and items. So I think you're on the right track with format, and let's take a look at just a random listing here. I didn't look too closely to what you're doing here. Yeah, it looks fine. Description looks fine. By the way, I get so much hate in the comments when I talk about the description not mattering at all. And I don't mean that universally. Like, there are definitely scenarios where you need to have a really great description. And there's categories of items that require more levels of description than others. And certainly I use the description box when I need to describe the condition of the item in ways that the pictures don't show. But generally speaking, I wish that buyers, read the descriptions more than they do. And eBay deprioritizes the description as well, especially on the mobile app. If you look at a listing on the mobile app, you'll see that they really hide the description behind a click, and it's very easy to just miss it. So most buyers just don't read it, unfortunately. But that doesn't mean don't use it. But anytime I say that the description doesn't matter, I get all sorts of comments, people yelling at me for that. And it does matter in certain scenarios, but for this, you're selling a Realtree vented fishing shirt, the description doesn't matter. Put a condition description in there. Nobody's really going to read that. Measurements, perfect. Put the measurements in there. That's a good thing to put in the description. But just don't waste your time with a ton of descriptors in there, because most people are not going to read them. That's just the reality of it. But yeah, I think your listings are fine. I think your photos are fine, but the items you're selling are just really low sell-through rate. So that's why you don't have many sales. I would focus on, if you want to increase the amount that you're selling, you need to focus on sourcing inventory that has a higher sell-through rate than what you're listing here. Thanks, Chrissy. I appreciate that. I'm going to do one other store review later on in the video, so keep an eye out for that. And if you want me to review your store in a future video, look for a link in the description below. All right, let's jump into my sales for the week. Looks like I had a gross sale amount of $1,151 and a net sales of $707. Not too great of a week, not terrible. Certainly not terrible, but mostly flat throughout the week. And I had a really big day yesterday, almost $400 in gross sales yesterday and 276 in net sales. So really great day yesterday. I also listed a bunch of stuff yesterday, so definitely not a coincidence there. My average gross per sale over the past 7 days was $39.67, and average net per sale was $24.37. My all-time average net is around $20. And my net profit margin over the last 7 days was 61%, which is about 5 points higher than it normally is. Let's take a look here. I spent $257 on new inventory over the past 7 days because I did have a bulk buy coming in that I paid for. The cost of goods of everything that sold over the last 7 days was $104. I paid $158 in marketplace fees and $181 in shipping labels. 28 new listings and 29 sales. Look at that big bump there on Saturday and Sunday. My average time to list was 6 days, and my average time to sell was 3 months. My return on investment is 555%. Coming in at number 10, some vintage underwear. Y'all know I love selling vintage underwear. These are Jockey mediums, 32 to 34. They sold in 3 months for $26.98. That's $19.99 plus $6.99 in shipping. The net return for the 10th best flip of the week was $18.23. And speaking of resetting my eBay store, this is a perfect example of one that I had listed for a long time, 3 months. You'll look here. I bought it November 29th, listed it November 29th without selling, and it was at $27.49 plus $6.99 in shipping. And then as I was going through my inventory to clean out some of the older inventory, I checked comps on this again, and I realized the price was just too high. So I ended up ending the listing, relisting it for $19.99 on February 12th. And then look at that, the next day it sold for $26.98. So it's just a good example. You just have all sorts of things in your inventory right now that probably would sell if you just ended it and relisted it and even just dropped the price a tiny bit. And that's why it's good to go through and do that reset of your store as often as you possibly can. Coming in at number 9 is this vintage Travel Smith button-up Mandarin collar shirt. I bought a bunch of these. I had 2 of the blue ones. I had a bunch in other colors. It was at a garage sale, and I remember this very clearly. This was over this past summer, but it was a very packed garage sale with tons of stuff in the garage. And I walked up to this dresser, and there was a couple other people right around the dresser too, looking at stuff on the dresser and next to the dresser. And I noticed one of the drawers was open, and I could see like some shirts in plastic in there. And I love selling vintage clothing, especially if it's new with tags. And so I opened up the drawer and talked to the owner. I said, "Hey, is this the stuff inside this? Is that okay for me to look at?" And they said, "Oh yeah, sure, go ahead." And so in there was about 10 of these Travel Smith vintage Mandarin collar shirts. So I grabbed them all, and immediately the guy to my left who had his phone out, who was comping some stuff, was like, "Oh, what's cool. What is that?" He was like, clearly he was upset that he did not find it first, but it was a great find. In fact, like I think for these two, I had a net return of $47.66. This order for this week, the net return was $25.76 for the 9th best flip of the week. But for these 2 blue ones, I netted $47.66. And if I just look at all the other Travel Smith, well, let's see if I have anything active right now. Do I have any left? I have 2 left. So 2 white ones left there, but I've sold a bunch already. Yeah, so 25, 21, 27, 25. So about $100 there, worth of net return just on those. And I still have 2 left. So really great find. I love finding vintage clothing, especially if they're new in the package. And these were just weird enough that I knew that they would sell. They were not standard shirts. There was somebody out there I knew who would want them. Okay, coming in at number 8 is this vintage Beiderlac blanket. This is the second one of these I've sold in the last few weeks. This is really nice. It's a nice blanket. Beiderlac's a great vintage brand for blankets. It was almost like a sleeping bag. It had a zipper on the side. Really super cozy. This one went international to someone in the UK. I bought it at a St. Vincent de Paul 5 months ago for $3. It sold for $44.98. That's $34.99 plus $9.99 in shipping. And the net return for the 8th best flip of the week was $27.76. Coming in at number 7, some Oakley sunglasses. I've got a lot of sunglasses on the list today from this bulk buy that I did. These are Mannerburn Black Prism Authentic sunglasses. Had them listed for 7 days, and they sold for $46.98. That's $39.99 plus $6.99 in shipping. The net return for the 7th best flip of the week was $31.26. That's a 600% ROI. Coming in at number 6 is this Google Nest doorbell. This is a doorbell camera, and it sold for $49 $29.99 free shipping. It took 2 weeks to sell. The net return for the sixth best flip of the week was $32.45. Unfortunately, this did not have any of the mounting brackets or anything like that, but it did power on. It made all the noises that I expected it to make. Not a bad little flip for the seventh best flip of the week. All right, let's do one more store review here. Clint asks, my sales fluctuate and they do not seem to be scaling with the amount of inventory I am adding. I'm trying to focus on items with a sell-through rate of 50% or greater. All right, Clint, let's take a look here, and I'll just address that. You said my sales fluctuate and they do not seem to be scaling with the amount of inventory I'm adding. I think that's kind of a common misconception. Like, scaling your reselling business often is not linear. It's not just like a gradual rise up, especially if you're selling a mixed bag of things. And that's because when you sell a mixed bag of things across all different categories, and I actually haven't looked at your store yet, so I don't know, but when you do sell across all different categories, you're going to be selling things that have a mix of sell-through rates. And so it's really hard to have a linear growth, and you're going to have ups and downs and ups and downs and ups and downs, and that's totally normal. So I would not necessarily expect that just you're going to have linear growth if you're just selling a mix of things. But let's take a look at your store. Looks like your store is called the Go Back Machine. I like that. How many have listed? You have 214 items listed. And how many have you sold in the last 90 days? 325. Wow, that's really good. What was it? I already forgot. 214 and 325. So great sell-through rate. So you're buying and selling the right stuff. So good job there. Let's take a look and see what you've listed more recently. So you've got some Ace hiking boots, video game stuff. That's probably why your sell-through rate is good, because you're selling video game stuff. Golf balls, the season is right, coming right up soon. Golf season right around the corner here in the U.S. Harley Davidson jacket, probably a good one. Good Carhartt jacket. That's pricey. Let's take a look at that. So is this a vintage one? Let's take a look. It's a nice one though. And even with having some flaws, like people will buy Carhartt jackets like this with flaws on it. Often they want them to have some flaws on it. So this is a scenario where, using eBay's new clothing condition rubric, like they haven't implemented it yet. They're going to implement it soon, but just, I can't remember what it is. Excellent condition, good condition, and fair condition. This is when I would use a fair condition, is if I'm selling a vintage Carhartt like this. I don't know if this is vintage, but a Carhartt like this that has some wear on it. It's not in good condition, it's in fair condition, but people want it in fair condition. It looks like it said it was made in Mexico. I don't know how old this is. This just seems expensive. Let's take a look. Let's add Carhartt on there. I always forget how to spell that. 2 T's. So 393 listed. Let's see how many have sold. 565. So great sell-through rate, great pickup. Let's see what they're selling at. Probably going to see, yeah, look at that. They're just giving it away. $20. This is if you want to source on eBay, for inventory to resell on eBay, you want to find auctions like this. Somebody got a great Carhartt jacket for $20 plus $7 in shipping, and they can turn around and sell it probably for 100, 150 in the very least. Let's remove those auctions though. So yeah, see this, look at that. People still want this, even though it's ripped to shreds. People still want it. Not, it didn't get a ton of money, but it's, it's still sold. And I often pick up Carhartt jackets like this when they're not in perfect condition, but yours seem to be in really good condition. A few scuffs here and there, but overall really great. And it's just got a nice patina to it, and often the buyers want that. Yours is priced very high though, so let's take a look and see. I just see a lot of very similar condition jackets, going for a lot less than yours. Look at that, new offer. Yeah, let's take a look. I interrupt this review to look at an offer that I just got. $12. Let's see, what is this? $20 plus $7 in shipping. Let me look and see what I sourced this for. So I paid $2 8 months ago from a bulk buy. Yeah, I'll take that. Let's do it. So anyway, yours is priced very, very high. What are you at? You're at 200 plus free shipping. So let's see what's selling in that range. I'm gonna, to have that price, I'm gonna expect to see a lot in that comp. Like, look at this. What is that? $1,000 for a Sherpa lined, extra small. Why is that? Can somebody tell me why that's going for $1,000? Very crazy. So these are similar priced. Nuba tags, $250. Is yours hooded? Yeah, yours is hooded. I mean, this looks very similar. Gravel color. Let's see. Made in Mexico is very similar. So they're certainly selling at that price. And again, I don't know what dictates that price. Like the Sherpa line makes sense. I don't think yours is Sherpa lined, is it? Is that Sherpa? Yeah, I would consider that Sherpa lined. Okay. I would put that in your title. Fleece lined. Okay. Maybe it's different than Sherpa lined. I need to feel it to be sure. Yeah, look at that. Thrashed paint. Use that term thrashed if you've got a really old one. People are looking for thrashed ones. But it's like a fashion statement. People want it to look like that. Kind of crazy. So yeah, on this one, I think you probably could get $200 for it. It would sell a lot faster if you lower the price. So maybe it just depends on how fast you want to sell it. You want to sell it fast, lower the price. If you don't mind sitting on it for a while, you'll probably get that. Let's see what else you got in your store. Some low value media. That stuff's not going to sell very quickly. TI-83, that's probably overpriced. I think the 83s are not very valuable, I don't believe. Let's take a look. Yeah. Yeah, 30, 23, 30. What are you at? You're at 35. Is that free shipping? Free shipping. So you're not that overpriced. I would probably drop it to like 25 to 30 to get that sold. But the TI-84s are more valuable. So Clint, your sales are going to fluctuate. You're buying and selling stuff that has a mix of sell-through rate. And if you want to have a more level set of sales, you need to increase the amount of listings you have, because you're listing across all different categories that have a mix of sell-through rate. That just means the more you have listed, the more even your sales will end up being, because you're going to have just a wide variety of sell-through rates. You're going to have any given day, you're going to have something that sells that's 8 months old, 8 days old, and 8 hours old, for example. And so if you really want more consistent sales, you need to be increasing the amount of inventory you have, and ideally the amount of high sell-through rate inventory you have. But you're doing really good. So I have nothing bad to say about your store there. I think you're pricing well. You're pricing on the high end, but I also price on the higher end as well, assuming I'm going to probably lower my prices or take best offers or things like that. So I think you're doing just fine. Coming in at number 5 is this replacement AirPod. This is the left side. I've had a lot of good luck by parting out these AirPods that I've gotten. I don't like selling Apple products, new or used. I find that I don't know. I don't like selling them. It invites the wrong type of crowd. I know you can make a lot of good money on them, but I don't know. I don't like the category at all. And so I came across a lot of AirPods, and instead of selling them as full units, the charger and the left and the right, I have parted every single one of them out into left and right and the charger. And I think that just is a lot less risky. It's people that have lost their AirPod, and it's working out really well. I'm really glad that I parted it out in this way, and I think I will continue to do that with any AirPods. And so this one took 29 days to sell, $49.99 free shipping. I went ahead and did free shipping on this because I know it weighs like an ounce. So the most it's going to cost to ship is around $4. Yeah, $4.08. The net return for the 5th best flip of the week was $33.45. Coming in at number 4 is this Shimano. I didn't even know Shimano made fishing gear. I thought that they made like biking equipment, but apparently they make fishing gear as well. This one was really good. This is a Semeter 2500 FL spinning reel. It sold in about a month for $63.87. That's $56.88 plus $6.99 in shipping. I'm pretty sure I sent out an offer for that. But the net return was $46.76 for the 4th best flip of the week. You'll notice the ROI there cannot be calculated because I have $0 in the cost of goods. I got it from a friend, so had no cost of goods into this one. Pure profit, and $46.76. Coming in at number 3, some sunglasses from Maui Jim. Maui Jim has make a ton of sunglasses, a very high sell-through rate. Definitely pick up Maui Jim sunglasses when you find them. They're typically worth quite a bit of money. These, unfortunately, I had to sell as frames only, as you'll see there. That's because they were prescription. You can't sell prescription sunglasses on eBay. So I am selling them as frames only. I don't actually remove the frames. I just sell them as frames only. I'm too afraid that I'm just going to ruin the glasses if I try to remove the frames. And so I let people know that it's the frames only, but the frame, but they will come with the lenses in them. And they're just going to need to get them replaced by their eye doctor. I don't even know I don't wear glasses, so I'm not really sure. But you do run a risk. You run a risk of saying frames only. I've gotten a couple returns of people who just don't read. And look at that. I mean, how are you going to not notice that? Frames only, but buyers don't. That's also just like, if you're putting frames only in the description, they're definitely not going to notice it. And so I try to make it as obvious as possible that you're getting the frames only. But even then, a lot of people don't read that. But these sold in 9 days for $66.98. The net return for the second best flip of the week was $47.37. Is that right? Second best week? Nope. Third best flip of the week. Coming in at number 2, some Therabody smart goggles. These things, you put them on your head and it has like motors in them that massage the front of your face, and it makes you put headphones on and you pair the thing with your phone and it plays like relaxing music and massages and vibrates your head. And I tried this thing out. I was curious, but it was not good. I don't know. It just was not good. It was uncomfortable. The motors that were supposed to like be relaxing your face by massaging them were extremely loud. It sounded like I had a robot like gyrating on my head. It was very strange. So off it went. We sold it for $66.98. That's $59.99 plus $6.99 in shipping. The net return for the second best flip of the week was $47.80 for this Therabody smart goggle massaging thing. That leaves us with number 1, some Bose headphones. Bose, just an incredible brand to buy if you see it. Pretty much anything Bose is going to be great. In fact, like even if you see just a Bose remote and no other item, buy that remote because it'll probably sell for $20 to $100 just for the remote for any of their devices. But headphones in particular, these are the Quiet Comfort 35.2s, over the ears, noise canceling, high quality electronics, high value. Pretty much anything Bose is going to be worth picking up. This came as a part of a bulk buy. It took 15 days to sell for $141.98. That's $134.99 plus $6.99 in shipping. The net return for the best flip of the week was $117.02. Sometimes with these Bose headphones, it can be difficult to tell exactly what model you have. Sometimes they don't list the model anywhere on the hardware itself, but if you connect it to your phone through Bluetooth, it's going to say the model when you connect it through Bluetooth. And so that's a good trick if you're trying to identify exactly which model you have of Bose headphones, or really any brand of headphones. You can use that same trick. So just really good flip, good bread and butter pickup. Anything Bose, like the little desktop stereos do really well, the CD players, remotes, anything Bose on it, pick it up if the price is right. Been a while since I've looked at the worst flips of the week. Let's go through some of my lowest ones. I have some JBL headphones. They sold for $20. I had $8 into them, and I made a net return of $2.80. Here's a Jordan shirt I got at Salvation Army for $5, and it only sold for $15.40. That's another thing. I just like didn't comp it at all. I figured, oh, that's cool. It's a nice like all over print Jordan shirt. It's got to be worth something. Not really. What else we got here? Some Starbucks mugs. Oh, look, that Lee Valley shirt, the grandfather Mandarin collar shirt sold. Yeah, pretty quick. 20 days. Or 19 days, $32.48, $17.27, not bad. What else? Oh yeah, this Thomas Kincaid Christmas ornament. I just bought a huge box of these Thomas Kincaid Christmas ornaments, and I knew that they were not going to be big sellers, but had 70 cents into each one of them and listed probably 25, and they each sell for right around $15. And so only made $8 on it, but super easy to ship, super easy to list. Might as well. Let's see. I don't think I've sold very many of them. I've got 19 of them left. Let's see how many sold. 6 sold, so not bad. Or not 6, 4 sold. That's some old Thomas Kincaid stuff. That's going to do it for this week. Thanks so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Man, I wish winter would go away. Just when I thought we were getting close, for some reason, when it's February, I'm like, okay, cool, winter's almost over. Nope, it's not almost over. We've got another round of snow coming here in St. Louis. My kids are probably going to be off the school again for a couple of days. In fact, they've missed so much school this winter from snow and other hazardous weather situations that they now have to tack on days at the end of their school year if they miss any more. So instead of doing that, they're going to do like home learning stuff. That's just home learning. It's a tax on the parents, I'll tell you. They don't like doing it. Parents have to supervise all of it. I got other stuff I'm trying to do, Is anyone still listening? Are you still here? I'm just ranting about weather to myself at this point. Anyway, thanks for watching. I appreciate it.